Hey everybody, welcome to D&D in a Castle's live stream, where today, on a very special episode, we're going to turn the tables and ask Tara and Justin, our founder and castle squire, a bunch of questions. And my name is Mike, and I was here just the other week, but I'm the chairman of the board and one of the DMs at the castle, and I drew the short stick to pepper them. So before we talk about, well, let's start with what's new. We've got a new castle coming, and just Tara, why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Excellent. Thank you, Mike. So yes, as Mike said, I'm Tara. I'm one of the founders of D&D in a Castle, and I am really looking forward to getting to work in a brand new castle for us and to offer a new castle experience for D&D in a Castle coming up right away this summer, but we'll be back there next spring. And so this is a smaller castle. It's also a medieval castle. It is older even than the castle that we've been operating in. It's in the northeast of England, which is really castle central of the world. And it's got a lot of really charming and historic and cozy features and vibes, and the staff there are really, really great. And I think people are gonna love this new venue that we've got.
So when you say smaller castle, what's the biggest difference between the current castle Lumley and the new castle?
Yeah, so the castle that's going to be our new home for a while is able to host 6 tables, 6 games of D&D in one event. Our previous home that we've been operating in up till now can hold up to 12. So it is larger, it can fit more people. This one is smaller, a little bit more intimate, and I'm really looking forward to how that's going to create a really intimate environment and allow us to really feel like a tight community in this space. But still, 6 games of D&D is still quite a number of people. It's still a decent crowd, still be a lot of fun and a lot of energy, but just a little bit more intimate.
So will there be less tickets available overall, or is there a different kind of format? Because at the current castle, there's always 2 rounds to choose from.
That's right. So at our existing castle, we usually do 2 back-to-back rounds with 8 to 12 tables at each round. So we can go up to 24 games of D&D at a time in a single round. In this case, there are going to be more rounds, more dates to choose from, but similar number of tickets available. But at each round, there will be fewer tickets available. So in the spring, we will be having 3 rounds of D&D in a Castle in spring 2026, which will amount to 18 tables. And at the spring event we just did now in 2025 in England, we had 17 tables. So it's a similar number, but just set up a little bit of a different way. Okay. So we have more events on a slightly smaller scale, a slightly more intimate experience.
Interesting. So how will that affect the activities outside of the games?
Well, one of the ways it will affect is that there will be a little more availability in some of the popular events, like the one-shot games. So at D&D in a Castle, participants get to play in one campaign that they get to play in for 8 hours a day, 2 4-hour sessions, either morning and afternoon or afternoon and evening. And then in the session that they're not gaming in their campaign, they get to participate in one-shot games, in other kinds of activities, puzzle hunts, that sort of thing. So there will be less likelihood that the one you want to get into is going to be sold out. And also, because we only have 6, it makes it a little bit easier on our staff and on our logistics. So what we've had to do at some of the larger events is have some people play in the morning and the evening and leave the afternoon session open. Whereas in the smaller space, what we're able to do is that everybody gets to play consecutive sessions. So they'll play morning and afternoon or afternoon and evening, and we won't have to split our games between morning and evening and leave a big gap for people. So everybody gets a straight 8 hours every day, which is nice for people to really get to stay in their game and not have to kind of break with that immersion.
Yeah. So let me switch this question. This one's for you, Justin. What are you most excited about with the new castle?
Yeah. I'm excited about the new castle, as I always am with every castle that we go to find out all the ins and outs. which is really those secret passages, those those quick ways between, those great views. Little do people know that I really like to see if I can find my way to the very top of the castle and peek out and see what I can find from there. So from the castle itself perspective, really just exploring the castle, exploring the grounds, seeing what the history holds at that castle as well.
Okay. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, from a castle activities standpoint, from the gaming at D&D in a Castle, I really like the 6 table format. I think it feels like people are focused and intense in their games, and that there's this time period in the castle where you can feel that intensity because every game is in play. And then you have these great mornings and evenings where people come together outside of the gaming tables. At least half of the castle will show up outside of the gaming tables to also join me in that exploration or other gaming, etc.
Okay. Awesome. So as the company moves to the new castle, I don't want to, never say never, but if somebody out there has always wanted to go to Lumley or has always been Lumley curious, is that ship sailed, or is there any other opportunities to experience Lumley?
So there is this autumn, in November, we have 2 back-to-back rounds of D&D in a Castle, which will be 11 or 12 tables. And that is available right now. It is selling quickly. It is well over halfway sold out. It's about 3/4 sold out, but there is some space at some of the tables. A lot of our tables have sold out in that round or are down to their last couple of tickets, but you can still get space. And there were 2 rounds for those events. One is November 3rd to 7th, and the other is November 10 to 14. And that's the castle that we've been at for the last few years. And it's also in the northeast of England. You fly into Newcastle Airport, which will be the same for the next venue. So it's the same travel route, the same experience. But this will be a big castle. It'll be very full. Lots of games going on, lots of excitement, and kind of a last hurrah for a little while for that venue. We may go back there in the future. We don't know. But for now, this is going to be our sort of swan song with that beautiful, beautiful castle. It's an incredibly interesting history and lots of medieval features and many labyrinthine passages that Justin has been discovering, and that I have been going there for 5 years at least, and I still find new things every time that I go. I discover, oh, you actually can get there this way, and there are, lots of hidden things to discover at that venue still, even after going there multiple times. So it's still a great place.
So we have a question from Kurt from Oakland, who wants to know a little bit more about you guys. So let me just ask you succinctly. We'll start with Justin. What did you do before D&D in a Castle? And what is it about working at D&D in a Castle that you like the most?
Mm-hmm. Before D&D in a Castle, I have led quite many and varied occupational life. But just before coming to work for D&D in a Castle, I was studying and developing my operatic voice. So I spent a few years at McGill University developing my opera repertoire, technique, and singing capabilities. I immediately jumped from that into full-time at D&D in a Castle. And if you do come to D&D in a Castle, you might get to hear some of that operatic training in use, either just to announce and to direct the crowds or in song. And the favorite thing that I have about D&D in a Castle really is that excited energy of people coming to their dream vacation, playing with their dream Dungeon Master. And I love to be able to receive from our guests that come that word of feedback that they just had one of the best moments of their life over the course of the time at the castle, and that they can't wait to experience something like it again, likely the next time they come to D&D in a Castle.
Awesome. Tara?
So before I ran D&D in a Castle full-time, I was running D&D in a Castle on the side. But before D&D in a Castle came about at all, and before this became my full-time occupation, professionally I was a lawyer. I was a child welfare and Indigenous lawyer. So completely different. And I always used to say I like my reality very real and my fantasy very fantastical. So my career was very real life, and the castle was very, very fantastical. And also, while I was doing other things, I'm also a mom of 3, and I also was running other events as well. That I started. One was the Pride and Prejudice Ball, and the other one was the Festival of Witchcraft and Wizardry. So I have a penchant and a passion for immersive fantasy events, and D&D in a Castle ticks all of those boxes. One of my favorite things is when we get to come in and sort of create a immersive, fantastical world. I've been doing this all my life from the time I was little. I would set photo shoots with my Cabbage Patch dolls, literally, in various fantastical settings that we would create out of paper and bed sheets. For my Halloweens, I recreate an immersive, fantastical children's literary world from scratch every year, a different theme. So in my hobbies, that's what I'm excited about. That's what I'm passionate about. And that's what I love about the castle is the immersion and the fantasy, and getting to make that real for people, and getting to apply all of that passion and interest and experience in doing that for people, and also getting to work with lovely people that we have on our staff, because we do have the loveliest staff, and they're just a great team to work with, and it's just a joy to get to create this with them.
Yeah, it's I mean, the whole team really works like a well-oiled machine, or a chorus of well-trained singers harmonizing together in unity. But I know you mentioned that we have these side activities, these one-shots and side quests, and I know each of you have run a couple of different side quests in the past, but I want to ask you each to give specific advice to our viewing audience, because in addition to kind of leading people on side quests and being mentors, they can also challenge you in specific activities. And Justin, yours is chess, and chess is something that, to be excellent at, you kind of have to have a little bit of a natural talent ahead for that type of game, and then also study and train and practice to get, to take that talent and shape it into a formidable skill. If somebody wanted to play chess against you in the spring and didn't want to bother with any of that, what advice would you give them? What's the weakest part of your game? What do they really need to focus on in order to give you a run for your money?
I think there's 2 different avenues where somebody could claim victory with me without too much effort when it comes to chess. The first is in our trial of wit, where I get to be facing off against multiple players at the same time. It's a great opportunity to throw a wrench in the system by moving randomly and quickly, and making it difficult just by moving quickly, because I have a time working against me, a time format that works against me in that, so that the multiple players working against me can coordinate their speed in order to overtake me. Now, if you wanted to best be in chess when it comes to a one-on-one match, without spending too much effort and time in developing your craft and game, it's all about choosing the right moment when to play the game with me. You choose the right moment to play the game with me, and about 30 seconds in, I'm going to have to run off and take care of something else in the castle. So I'll resign and give you that win.
You need a teammate to create a problem. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So I think the common line here, though, what I'm hearing is that you cannot be beaten easily in a straight up one-on-one chess battle, chess match, chess duel. Like some level of uncertainty or upset has to occur.
I would be able to humbly suggest that is true. I've, to the frustration of many, proved a difficult challenge to beat just with the skill of the game alone. There are a few that can claim that title, and only one guest at the castle has ever come and handily been able to beat me every time I've played.
That's pretty cool. Now, Tara, your skill is different. You honed it terrorizing your family as a child, and I think the game is called, is it Knuckle Bones?
So I have developed a bit of a game based on a traditional game that I used to play as a kid, along with my siblings and along with everyone that I knew growing up in the South Pacific. I grew up in New Zealand, and there was a game in the 80s that we used to play, and it's probably still being played there and was probably played long before that and long since. And it is an old, I was told an old Scottish game, but I have heard from other players and guests that this game is known as Stones in Brazil. And people from other parts of the world are familiar with this game in different forms, which leads me as a historian to believe that this is a very ancient game in its way. In America, it's similar to or probably related to jacks, where you toss things and then you have to pick them up while something is in the air. So in jacks, you bounce the ball. In this case, you toss a knucklebone. But in our case, the game that I have developed is called Castle Dice. And Castle Dice is this game, but instead of played with bones or rocks or any other little metal things in the shape of stars, we play it with sets of dice. So when you play knucklebones, it's with 5 sheets knuckles traditionally, or metal ones that you can get. And in Castle Dice, we play it with 7 dice, like the 7 traditional D&D dice.
Okay.
And I was just looking around to see if I had a set of dice up here, and I don't. I did not bring my dice for this one. Justin's got some D&D dice, and Justin can attest that you can get very good at this game very quickly. And I would suggest, although people watch me play and I'm a little bit of a huckster, so I'm just grabbing a little item. I don't even know what it is. It's some kind of washer. But if you put it in your hand, and I'm going to stand up, I'm going to demo it for you. Put it in your hand, then you flip it onto the back of your hand and catch it. Then you flip it back into your palm and catch it. That's the whole premise of the game. There's more to knucklebones, but to Castle Dice, that's the whole basis, is you take your 7 dice in your hand, you flip them and catch on the back, and you flip them and catch in your hand. So it's a little bit of a dexterity check IRL, and there's some ways in which it works into D&D, and we have a little round robin championship of it, and you can win prizes if you can beat me at the game. And there's a way of playing with advantage or disadvantage to make it easier for other people. But if people want to do that, I recommend they get their dice and they start just practicing a little fidget flip with dice. I do it with coins, toy cars, my children's Lego blocks, whatever I have around, it's my fidget. So I'm doing it all the time. I've been doing it since I was about 8 years old. So, but genuinely, you do it one day, you do it a few times, and the next day you will be better at it. It's really actually quite quick. And it's not about the size of your hands. I have small hands, and I did it as a kid, and I could catch them all. So it's not about having big hands. It's just about the muscle memory, and it's a lot of fun. And it's my favorite thing to be barefoot in a ball gown on the floor of a castle, because you sit on the floor to do it. You can't do it on a table, but it's better on the floor because when the dice fall, they don't roll away as far. And it's traditionally played on the floor. So we like to get down on the floor, flip our dice, and that is just the height of joy for me.
You got 2 paths if you're coming to spring or thinking about it, to train up a side skill, or in Justin's case, maybe hatch a fiendish plan and be prepared to take on one of these 2 operators outside of your D&D game. But it's just, I mean, it's not just these 2 events. There's a bunch of different, side quests and things like that. So getting back to the Spring Castle, there are 3 rounds, 6 tables per round.
That's right.
So who are the DMs that are coming to Spring?
Okay, we have some dungeon masters that are from the UK side of the pond, and we have some that are from the USA. But a broad spread of really great and experienced dungeon masters, each bringing quite a different kind of game. In the first round, we have, I'm going to just mention a few, and Justin's going to fill in the blanks because I think he's on a computer and he's going to be able to help me out. First of all, off the top, we have very excited to have back running his own campaign under his own name is Chris Hately, who some people who've been to D&D in a Castle before will know. Some of them may have had the opportunity to play with him. He has run games for us before as our family mode Dungeon Master, which is our 14 plus sort of parent and child or adult and youth combo table. And he's running hardcore mode this summer. And he ran Chronicle mode at the Fall Castle last year, which is 2 back-to-back rounds in one continuous campaign. That was very popular, and he played in multiple editions, a different edition each day across 2 rounds of D&D in a Castle. Very, very skilled, very, very every man's nerd, every nerd, you know, very long-time dungeon master and passionate player, particularly passionate about war games and battle history and those kinds of things. So he is coming to run a really, really exciting game because it is all mice. And I love it so much because it's kind of inspired by the Secrets of Nim, which is dear to my heart and deep in my childhood memories. And even though I'm not going to be playing it, just knowing that it's going to be happening in the castle really excites me. So that's the first Dungeon Master. Also Edward Spence, also coming from England, who is appearing for the first time at our UK Castle this summer, coming up in July. Who's a well-known actor and streamer in the D&D space in the UK. Also in that first round, and actually coming to multiple rounds, are Beth the Bard, who is a longtime D&D in a Castle Dungeon Master and online Dungeon Master and professional and creator, and also Jaden King, who's going to be running games for us there as well. And then I've got to be missing someone.
Let me stop you there. If somebody wanted to see the full list of DMs, is that the URL that's on the site right now? You just go to Spring 2026 and get the full list. And if somebody wanted to ensure that they were going to get at that DM's table, what's the best way to do that?
So the best way to do that, to get to any particular DM's table, is to purchase a deposit, because that gets you on our VIP mailing list, so you get advance access to register as soon as we launch registration. And I can tell you right now, for anybody listening, that the week of June 9th is when we release tickets to deposit holders, and that's coming up pretty quick. So get those deposits, jump onto our VIP mailing list, and you'll be able to get your selection from all the available Dungeon Masters that are on that list. You may have to act fast. Sometimes these things sell out very quickly. How do you
get on the mailing list?
So the VIP mailing list is you purchase a deposit, which you can do by jumping over to that page, which either the QR code, which I'll point to this way, or you can use the URL, which is down at the bottom there.
In what direction is Tara, since we're pointing?
Oh, well, for me, Tara is that way.
My screen is non-reflective, so I don't know if I'm pointing the right way. Yes, that's Justin.
Awesome. So, and with just 6 rounds, I would imagine that reservations will go potentially a little faster here per round. Yeah. But many of these DMs are there for more than 1 round. Is that right? They'll spread across a couple rounds.
Yeah. That's right. Especially the second 2 rounds, you'll see that most of those Dungeon Masters are identical for those 2 rounds, which, if you're paying attention for it and interested in, our Chronicle mode, which is a special mode that covers over 2 rounds. Elisa Teague is announced as our Dungeon Master for that special mode, running the Sigils in the Sands. And that is a very special mode where you say, I am interested in a long-form D&D campaign and want to show up for the 21st and stay all the way through the 30th at D&D in a Castle to play the longest format.
So how many days of D&D is that?
Yeah, well, simply put, it's the 2 rounds are 4 days each, so it's 8 days. Now there are 6 of those days will be more intensely Dungeons and Dragons focused, where you're playing 8 hours each of those 6 days.
So you play a minimum of 48 hours of Dungeons and Dragons in a single campaign if you sign up for Chronicle mode across the 8 days of the events.
One big campaign that goes across 2 rounds, probably the longest campaign of D&D I can imagine, other than like the ones that go on for years in little 2-hour, 3-hour, 4-hour chunks. But that's awesome. What other modes are going to be at the Spring Castle?
So at the Spring Castle next year, we're going to have hardcore mode. We have 2 hardcore mode campaigns on offer in spring, and hardcore mode is, again, more hours of D&D, but within a single round. So hardcore, as I mentioned before, for a regular campaign, you play 2 4-hour sessions a day, either morning and afternoon or afternoon and evening. Whereas in hardcore mode, you play all 3 sessions. So you play 12 hours of D&D a day, which allows you to get through a lot more campaign or dive deeper, go broader, do more epic things because you have that extra space to do that. And it takes a special kind of dungeon master to run hardcore mode. Not everybody wants to, not everybody can. And we created this mode in response to demand from our players who said, we love D&D in a castle. We'd love to play more D&D. We want more of our campaign. And we had given them 2 out of the 3 4-hour sessions as a sort of mercy and fairness on the dungeon master who needs that extra time to, rewrite their campaign after the players break it, or just to recover and prepare for the next session. So as I said, we have some people on our roster who just want to go hard the same way that some of our players just want to go hard. Yeah. And they just want the campaign and they want more of it, and they want to cram as much of that into their vacation experience as possible. And so we have hardcore mode for that. And you can read the hardcore mode descriptions on the same D&D in a Castle link that we have up there on the screen. In fact, you can read about all of the campaigns that these dungeon masters are offering. They have a little blurb, a little teaser, a little description of the type of campaign that it will be, so you can pick the one that appeals to you, whether you want to be a mouse fighting the bad guys, or you want to be, doing a more traditional dungeon crawl type of thing, or you want to be a little bit more lighthearted and fae or dark gothic horror. There's lots of different types of campaigns on there as well.
So I want to get to attendee questions in a minute, but first I want to ask each of you. Sorry, Terry, you had something you wanted to add to that.
I just wanted to add, in terms of modes, we also have family mode, which is being offered, I believe, in the second round. Justin, you correct me if I'm wrong off the top of my head, but that is the game you can sign up for if you want to come with a young person in your life that you want to experience adventure and heroism with.
And
so
what's the age range?
The minimum age is 14, so it's 14 plus to sign up in that round, and you have to sign up with a chaperoning adult. And so both have to be at the table as players to participate in family mode. Anyone can sign up for it, but it is designed for people to know that when they arrive at their D&D in a Castle table, that if they haven't signed up for family mode, they're not going to have, a teenager at their table, and that might be a shock somebody doesn't quite want. So we've created a special table that you can sign up for if you are underage, as long as you're with a chaperone. So if anybody signs up for that mode, even if they don't have a young person with them, they know that there may be young people at that table. It's just about being fair to the players and letting them know what they're signing up for.
Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so for someone coming to the castle for the first time and coming to this new castle for the first time, Justin, what's one piece of advice you'd give a first-time attendee?
First-time attendee, I would say first, don't worry about trying to find things outside the castle to do. And by that I mean, we've had some first-time attendees that come and they're like, well, what am I going to do with all my downtime? The reality is there is always something happening at the castle. You will not even feel like you have downtime unless you kind of carve it out and you need that time. Of course, you do have some hours in the day where you can make your own time, but the experience that universally is felt is there's always something you can be doing to enjoy spending time in the castle with other aficionados of this game. And you will just be full, and that time will flash by. So my added advice, my bonus advice, the next thing is savor the moments that you have. Make sure you do take a moment to go a little walk around the castle, see what the weather is like, see what the castle's like on the outside, take a little bit of an extended walk if you can, because your days are just going to go by very quickly because there is always something to be doing. So those two, to me, are hand-in-hand first-time advice for coming to D&D in a Castle. One, don't try to cram in more than the event already has to offer by trying to do things outside. But two, take those moments to go for that walk, enjoy the castle, explore those secret passages, and enjoy what is there on offer in the castle.
Nice. Tara, same question.
Yeah, I would echo that definitely. When people say, "Oh, can I drive here or go there?" I always think, no. I mean, you could, but you've come to do D&D in a castle. Do D&D you won't be able to. You'll make a plan and you'll just not do it. So absolutely, you're there to be at D&D in a castle. It is very full. The piece of advice I would add is if you're traveling internationally, particularly, plan to arrive early. Plan to arrive the day before. You'll get information from us about, room rates on hotels in Newcastle that you could stay at the night before and catch the shuttle in the morning. We do have a courtesy shuttle that meets at the airport, and it also meets at the train station in downtown Newcastle. And there have been a few occasions where, the airline has maybe lost someone's bag, or the flight was delayed and the connection they got was later. And this is a big adventure, a big deal. You really don't want to miss any of it. You really don't want to not have your costume with you for the ball on the first night. So you want to give yourself a little bit of a cushion and just one night of recovery before you hit the castle, if you possibly can. Lots of people come straight to the castle and it's fine, but to get the absolute best experience, really do recommend coming in a day early, or if you're planning to sightsee or extend your stay, to do that at the beginning instead of at the end, because you will then be acclimatized, you'll be kind of recovered, and you'll be ready to sit down in your castle and get to adventure and not thinking about what's going to be happening after you're done. And also, when you leave the castle, in full transparency, you will feel sad. You will feel sad that you have to leave the castle, because the castle is so wonderful. It's like a childhood dream. It literally is a childhood dream. And so you don't want to then go and try to have fun, because it will not be as much fun as the castle was, and you will be sad. So have the fun first and enjoy it fully, and then go ruin your life by doing D&D in a castle. That's it.
Sage advice. I know from personal experience, there's been times I've been there, and it happens almost every time. I just forget the name of the day of the week. Like, we're in day 2, but I don't know if that's Tuesday or Wednesday, and then I have to ask somebody or check my phone, like, what is the name of this weekday again? Because it has no bearing on anything that matters to me in the moment. And it's just a delightful kind of little pocket in time that where you, with a bunch of other like-minded people, can just enjoy the moments that come. So I have a couple questions here. I think I want to close on Jen. So Jen, be patient. But Brian asked, how does someone get to come to DM for your amazing projects? And I wanted to ask this in a little bit of a leading way. Is there a time frame this summer, Tara, that someone like Brian could, maybe with a subscription to our newsletter, get an early scoop on a format of a new event that is yet to be announced that might be an on-ramp for this type of thing?
Oh, Mike, I don't know what I'm allowed to say. I didn't know we were teasing anything this round. How much
Brian Paul, he asked the question.
You asked the question, I'm allowed to answer it?
Well, I think we have to be prudent to not use proper nouns.
Okay, well,
is there a time frame that an announcement might be made?
Oh, an announcement could be made. An announcement could be made as early as mid to late June. Okay. That's probably the earliest. And it's going to be something really that we have been excited about for a long time, that we have been planning carefully, that we have been discussing, that we've teased at some of our events at the castle. So if you've been to the castle, you might have a sense of what this is. But it will be an opportunity for Dungeon Masters. It's specifically for Dungeon Masters, whereas D&D in a Castle is, a lot of our players are Dungeon Masters. And in fact, that's what they love about D&D in a Castle, is they don't have to be the Dungeon Master, and somebody else has a really well-prepared campaign and is going to do a great job of playing for them. And they can actually enjoy a campaign of D&D at the castle. So this will be specifically about dungeon mastering. It will be specifically for dungeon masters who want to advance their skills, their career, or just the campaign or the world that they're working on. There's going to be opportunities to work on, learn about, and build as a dungeon master.
So that's great. Follow-on question. It's for Justin. if someone like Brian or anybody was going to reserve time in their schedule for a yet to be announced opportunity, what would that month that we won't say rhyme with?
It might rhyme with glamuary.
Glamuary. I have no idea what month that could be, but
Yeah.
if you can solve that riddle, you would just have a window of time then to think about for planning. Okay, I'm going to move on to the final question, but before I do, I want to give you both an opportunity for any closing words you might have about the spring event. Tara?
Okay. Thinking about the spring event, I am really excited to be settling into this beautiful space that we have. I'm particularly excited about the tavern that's on site, and I have gotten to know the staff at this castle, and they are just wonderful and supportive, and everybody involved in D&D in a Castle, from the venue staff, from the organizing staff, from the dungeon masters, and even everyone else that attends D&D in a Castle as a guest is there to make the players and the guest experience magical, fantastical, immersive, and just the best possible time and the most welcoming and wonderful community. So that's what I'm looking forward to in the spring. I'm looking forward to all the campaigns that the Dungeon Masters have planned that I've read about, and some of them I'm really excited about and can't wait to see how they go and get to see the players experience them and hear from them all of the stories that they are creating together. So that's what I'm excited about for the spring, and I look forward to seeing all the guests that are excited to come and join us as well. And my little piece of advice that I didn't share when you asked about advice was ask, always ask. We are here to make your experience wonderful, whether it's before, or during, or after. Always ask. You don't know what's possible if you don't ask. So do reach out to us. Do talk to us. We're here to answer all of your questions. They're never annoying. We'd love to tell you all about D&D in a Castle and prepare you as best we can to give you the best possible adventure.
And do we have any player weddings scheduled yet for the spring event?
Not that I know, though I think there are some anniversaries and maybe some birthday celebrations and things like that. People do love to come and spend their special occasions with us, and there's no greater way to celebrate than to go on an epic adventure together. So
it does make me wonder who our first group of adventurers will be that get married at the new castle.
Yeah.
Justin, closing thoughts?
Just to button that up, what you just said there, we do already have a honeymoon couple that is looking to and has expressed their interest in making that spring castle their honeymoon, which happens with surprising frequency at D&D in a Castle. People get married and show up at our castle all the time. Yeah. But closing thoughts for spring 2026. I mean, one thing I'm very excited for is, yes, it's a new castle. And I'm excited to meet the new castle staff and to get to know that space and environment. But the one thing I'm very excited for is we're bringing with us so many of our experienced local team members. And they've become our UK family in a way that is, to me, really special. And to be able to work with them again, it just makes me feel so at ease and so comfortable with showing up at that new space. I happen to know that today is the day that they're starting to move our inventory of things into Walworth Castle to get us ready to launch events there at the new castle in Darlington. So I'm very excited to see and hear how that happened and how that went. Also, one of the things that I just will be celebrating until it happens in spring of 2026 is that one of our local team members, Chris Hately, has, from the first day he showed up in 2022 and said, "Hey, I'm just here to help. Do you guys need any assistance?" He has now become a resident expert, whether it's mini painting, mini printing, even terrain building, to running one-shots, to running special modes, to the Chronicle mode campaign that he ran last fall. Now he gets to be one of our Dungeon Master roster folks. So to the point of that question that was asked a moment ago, one of the best ways that you can become a DM at D&D in a Castle is show up and show your skill. Be a guest first, make yourself available and come to D&D in a Castle. So I'm really excited to see Chris running his own game as one of our roster members, and that gets to reach its fruition in the spring of 2026.
Yeah, that's exciting. And Chris, for those of you that don't follow him on social media, is also an award-winning barista.
Yeah, yes. Very true. Very true.
There's a lot of coffee experts.
Local celebrity in the Newcastle area. All right, so closing question, courtesy of Jen. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Justin, what skill check of a Dungeons and Dragons stat, strength, intelligence, dexterity, wisdom, constitution, charisma, would you most certainly be able to pass in real life?
Okay, well,
and I'm sorry, the rogues lawyer in me is saying that that's actually an attribute check, not a skill check. But please continue.
Attribute check. Got it. So I'd like to think that it would be intelligence, but to be frank, from my moniker to the way that people see me waltzing through life in a bard-like fashion, I have to say that charisma is likely the one that I would pass.
Okay.
Oh, I think I would give Justin intelligence. I would put that, and I think that's a better way of asking me what's Justin's. I would give, and honestly, Constitution. Justin is kind of remarkable. We refer to him as our resident superhero. He also looks like Superman, and is kind of indefatigable in a superhuman kind of way that I'm not sure I've seen from any other person in my life. So I think stamina has got to be up there, or Constitution for sure, alongside intelligence, and of course charm. But that would be my scoring. That'd be my scoring of Justin. Yeah.
Tara, same question, and then Justin, you get the cross-examination / support.
Awesome.
Oh, what would be your attribute, Tara?
I have none of the above. I'm really trying to figure it out. I just said to Justin recently in a meeting, I used to be really smart. I don't feel like I'm as smart as I used to be. I have 3 children, and it'll just cut the intelligence out from under you. And Constitution is really tanked after 40, and I'm charm. I'm borderline or very low level autistic, I think. So I'm not sure that.
Sounds like I need to jump in here, Tara. Sounds like I need to jump in. Charisma has many forms. Charisma is your ability to affect other people to do what it is you want them to do. And you happen to be very skilled at your charisma in that regard, because you have launched this whole thing, all of D&D in a Castle. And when you run a ball, people choose to dance. So I think we need to at least do that. I will also say you have a surprising amount of dexterity, especially when it comes to castle dice.
Okay. I'm really good at sorting out things too, like items in the Tupperware drawer. I'm very passionate about that as well. But yes, I often say my only skill is telling other people what to do, and you don't think that's a skill, but it really is. So
I pointed in the wrong direction visually. I'm sure the chat for anybody who can see it would be down here in YouTube. But you also have a fan online saying that it sounds like wisdom is also your skill.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Guys,
Mike, come on. You have to answer this.
Mike, you have to answer the question if you made us answer it.
Well, it was asked by one of our guests. I don't know. I think at this stage of life, I would probably give myself a pretty good wisdom check. I try to listen and digest before I respond, which wasn't always the case. But I stand on the shoulder of a lifetime of rash decisions, and the all gotten me EXP in the wisdom journey. So
yeah.
That'd be my
yeah.
Love it. Yeah, your attribute increases. You've used those level ups to get your wisdom to the top of the tower there. Mike the pragmatic, of course, it fits.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't normally host. How do we end one of these things?
Usually we're hosting with Dungeon Masters and we end with an invitation to come to the castle. So maybe we can close with that. And also, what are we doing next week, Justin? Who have we got next week for our DM deep dive?
Yeah. So a couple things there, I guess. Next week. So last week we said that this week we would be announcing our hardcore modes for this summer. And I don't think we've done that yet. So I recommend we follow through and let people know who is running hardcore mode for both of our summer rounds where we have hardcore mode being announced. Now, you did mention it in passing, Tara, but we didn't make it clear. So first off, summer USA, who is our hardcore mode Dungeon Master?
So this is very exciting because he's also making his debut as a Dungeon Master at D&D in a Castle to run a campaign.
Not quite true.
No, this is not entirely true. Not entirely true. He did run a campaign last year, and he has run one-shots and been working with us at D&D in a Castle. And his name is David Haddad. So if you had the pleasure of getting to play in his game last year, or to play one-shots with him, or get to know him as a staff member at the castle, you will know what a wonderful human being he is, how prepared he always is for everything. So I believe you're going to have an incredibly comprehensively prepared and skilled adventure with him if you are lucky enough to have snagged one of those spots, because I believe that adventure is indeed sold out, as are both of our hardcore modes.
All the hardcore modes are sold
All
out.
the hardcore modes are currently sold out. So the only way to get into hardcore mode is to come this spring. Yeah, that's a good point. The next available hardcore mode will be this spring, where you'll have 2 options to choose from for hardcore mode.
Okay.
And do you want to share who's doing hardcore mode in the USA? I mean, in the UK?
In the UK, of course, I would be absolutely delighted to share who is running that. And that happens to be, as mentioned previously, the one, the only, Chris Hately will be running the hardcore mode in the USA. And that is the Lords of Madness campaign that he is running in the UK. So Chris Hately gets to run that one. And I guess I don't get to announce any other hardcore modes, but those 2 are our summer hardcore mode announcements. Just to round that conversation out, David Haddad is running a campaign called The Devil's Best Bastards, and I'm sure the people that have signed up for that will live true to the name. We'll see how that goes. So that buttons up that conversation. Yes, Mike?
Both those guys have 18 constitutions. They can run all day, and they're very thorough and eager. They go all in on their campaign prep. I've interacted with both of them leading up to their games, and they're just they're gonna run great games. Not that you can buy a ticket, but they're gonna run great games. So if you're signed up for one, you're in for a good time.
Yeah,
very much so.
Speaking of Dungeon Masters that go the distance with preparation, next week we speak with Jason Carl, and he is going to be running 2 different campaigns in our 2 fall back-to-back rounds coming up this autumn, I should say, for our November rounds at our, now I guess I get to call it, our previous home castle. So that will be quite wonderful to speak with Jason Carl. Please join us next week around this time to speak with him.
Yes.
Yeah, Jason's great.
Yeah, that'll be a really fun conversation. Always love chatting with Jason.
Is there is there a sing-along or a little dance we do at this point?
No, usually we ask our Dungeon Master to invite people to come and join them at the castle. So who would like to do that outro?
Oh,
it's got to be Justin.
Happy to.
Yeah, it's got to be Justin the Squire. Go for it, Justin. Invite everyone.
Okay. Adventurers, castlers, if you will, join us. Whether it's this summer, still a few spaces left in our USA summer castle, absolutely none left in our UK castle for summer. Or if you're joining us in the autumn, there's still some spaces left at that castle event. Or if you're eager to get ready to join us for spring of 2026, jump on that now by purchasing your deposit so that you can be the first one to jump online and grab those tickets when they're available the week of June 9th. You can make your vacation beyond imagination. You can take it out of the realm of imagination and bring it into the material plane by joining us this year or next. Come on down.
Wow.
Thanks so much.